Hello! I'm so happy you're here for math. This week we're working on comparing fractions. Our learning goal or our objective says, I can compare fractions. Follow along with me this time. Remember, you should be doing the hand signals you learned in the other video when we say our objective. Mrs. Price will go slow. I can compare fractions. Nice job following along. Let's review what a fraction is. But first, I have a story to tell. Mr. Price took Mrs. Price for a date this weekend. We went out to lunch. We had our favorite pizza from Pizza King. Our pizza had 8 slices total. Mr. Price ate 4 slices, but Mrs. Price could only eat 2. Who ate more pizza? Did you say Mr. Price? That's right. Look how easy that was. You're already comparing fractions and you didn't even know it. To review some fractions more, we are going to read a story. We are going to hop over to Epic for this story. It is called A Fractions Goal, Parts of a Whole. It is written by Brian P. Cleary and illustrated by Brian Gable. Fractions are a portion, a piece, or just a part of something that is larger, like the segment on the chart. Or look at this round pizza. It can be cut in 2, or 4, or 6, or 8, or more, whatever best suits you. But let's say that it's cut in 2, and you pick up 1 slice. You've got 1 piece out of 2. That's half, to be precise. Next, cut that pizza into 4 and take 1 single piece. That's 1/4 now. Can you see how the size has been decreased? So new, if someone wants 1/2, 2 slices will be needed. 2 out of 4 and 1 out of 2 are the same. They're all different ways to read it. Fractions also work with groups, like 2/3 of the players, 7/8 of jugglers, and 1/2 of mares. Pretend you have 3 uncles, and 2 came for a visit. That would mean 2/3 were there. That's not so hard now, is it? Let's say the third one showed up to join all the fun. That's 1 whole group of uncles, because 3/3 equals 1. Fractions come in handy if you ever help with baking. You'll see them in the recipes for breads and cakes you're making. 3/4 tablespoon of salt, add 2/3 cup of flour, 5/8 cup of chocolate chips, and bake for half an hour. The numerator is the word for the number that's on top. Like the 3 that's in, we lost 3/10 of this year's crop. The number underneath the slash is a denominator. Note that nearly all the time, this bottom number's greater. Fractions can be used in pizzas, planes and cranes and plants. You'll know more than just a portion if you give them half a chance. So, what is a fraction? Do you know? The end. That fraction book helped us review. Remember, fractions are parts of a whole. We have 2 numbers in a fraction, the number on top, or the numerator, and the number on bottom, or the denominator. We are going to be comparing fractions. Remember, when we compare, we have 3 different symbols that we can use. We have the greater than symbol, the less than symbol, and the equal sign. The greater than symbol and less than symbols kind of look like alligators. Remember our very hungry alligator. They always chomp or eat the number that is bigger. Alligators are big animals. They're hungry. They need the most food they can get. So they always chomp towards the bigger number. Their opening goes towards the big number. When we use the equal symbol, that means both things that we are comparing are equal. They are the same. Let's look at some fractions and try to compare them. Here are two fractions. There is one in the yellow box and one in the blue box. Mrs. Price also has a list of problem-solving steps to help us compare these fractions. We're going to follow the steps to help us compare. Step number 1 says to look at the numerator. That is the number on the top. We look at the numerator because both of these fractions have the same denominator. They have the same number of pieces. So we want to look at how many pieces are shaded in, how many parts are shaded in, which is going to be our numerator. We finished step 1, look at the numerator. This fraction has a numerator of 2. The fraction blue has a numerator of 1. Our second step says, decide if the fractions are the same or different. Well, are these the same or different? They're different. Now, step number 3 says, if the numerators are the same, choose the equal sign. Well, we already decided that they're different, so let's move on to step 4. Step 4 says, if the numerators are different, decide which is the bigger number. Well, I have a numerator of 2 and a numerator of 1. I know that the number 2 is bigger than the number 1. So the fraction in yellow is the bigger number. Step 5 says pick the alligator or sign that eats the bigger numerator. I need to find the alligator that's going to be chomping towards my number 2. That is going to be this alligator. See, that wasn't so bad. We followed our problem-solving steps and just compared two fractions. Let's try that again. Here are our two fractions. There's one fraction in the yellow box, 2/5, and one fraction in the blue box, 4/5. Mrs. Price has also helped you and included the fraction models, so there is a picture to represent the fractions. Let's follow our problem-solving steps. Step 1 says to look at the numerators. The yellow fraction has a numerator of 2. The blue fraction has a numerator of 4. Now step 2 says, decide if the fractions are same or different. Well, do these fractions look the same or different? They're different. So we move on to step 3. If the numerators are the same, choose the equal sign. Well, we already said they're different, so we don't need to pick equals. We're moving to step 4. If the numerators are different, decide which number is bigger. Out of 2 and 4, which number is bigger? Or which fraction model has the most pieces shaded in? It's 4. 4 is the bigger number. Now, last step in our problem-solving steps says, pick the alligator or sign that eats the bigger numerator. I know that 4 is bigger, so I need to find the alligator that chomps towards the number 4. Chomp, chomp, chomp. Here is the alligator that chomps towards the number 4. We just compared a second set of fractions. Nice job. This time, Mrs. Price wants you to help me. We're going to follow the problem-solving steps together, and I want you to pick the sign at the end. Get ready. Here are our two fractions. 3/5 is in yellow, and 3/5 is in blue. Here are our two fractions. Here are also the fraction models for the two fractions. Now let's follow our problem-solving steps. Number 1 says look at the numerator. Here is the numerator for the fraction in yellow. It is 3. Here is the numerator for the fraction in blue. It is also 3. Step number 2 says, decide if the fractions are same or different. Are the numerators the same or different? If you said same, that's right. Let's move on to step 3. Step 3 says, if the numerators are the same, choose the equal sign. So, what sign do I need to pick to compare these fractions? Choose it now. I hope you answered equal signs. The fraction models look the same, and our numerators are the same, which means the fractions are equal. We needed the equal symbol to complete the comparison. Awesome work helping me. Let's move on to another one. Our first fraction is here in blue. It says 3/4. Here's the fraction model for 3/4. 3 out of the 4 pieces are shaded. Here is the fraction in blue. It says 1/4. Here's the fraction model. 1 out of 4 pieces are shaded. Let's start with our problem-solving steps. Number 1, look at the numerators. Our numerators on the yellow fraction are 3. The numerator in the blue fraction is 1. Number 2, we need to decide if the fractions are the same or different. Are they the same or different? Which one? I hope you said different. Now, number 3, step 3. If the numerators are the same, choose the equal sign. Well, we already decided they're different. Let's move on to step 4. If the numerators are different, decide which number is bigger. Which is the bigger number, 3 or 1? If you said 3, you are correct. 3 is a bigger number than 1. Or if we were looking at fraction models, there are 3 shaded versus 1. There is more shaded in this fraction. Last step. Step 5. Pick the alligator that eats the bigger number. Which alligator do we need? What direction should it be facing? It needs to chomp on the 3. Pick the alligator now. I hope you picked this alligator. His mouth is open, chomping towards the 3. Great work comparing fractions. Let's practice one more together. The first fraction in yellow says 2/5. The second fraction in blue says 4/5. If we follow our problem-solving steps, get ready. The first step says look at the numerators. The numerator in the yellow fraction is 2. The numerator in the blue fraction is 4. Now we need to decide if the fractions are the same or different. Are these fractions the same or different? I hope you said different. They are different. Step 3 is if they are the same, so we're going to skip it. We need to move to step 4. Step 4 says if the numerators are different, decide which is bigger. Which number is bigger out of the numerators? 2 or 4? If you said the number 4 is bigger, that is correct. 4 is more than 2. You can see it in the fraction models as well. There are more shaded on the blue fraction versus the yellow fraction. Now it's time to pick an alligator. Remember, our alligator's mouth should be open and facing the number that is bigger. We said that number is 4, so your alligator needs to be chomping 4. Pick it now. I hope you picked this alligator. That is the less than alligator. Great work! You just learned how to compare fractions. Not so bad, huh? Now you are going to move on to IXL. Once you get out of this video, go to our homepage and click on IXL. It will open to the skill you need to be working on. It's going to be comparing fractions. Remember our problem-solving steps and come back to the video if you need help. Always try your best. I can't wait to see how much you've learned.